Hi guys, welcome back to the Big Shift. Today my special guest is Johnny Alite. Johnny Alite has a big profile, guys. You know, he's been on a lot of platforms from GQ to Trevor McDonald. There's been a lot of controversy around about John, about his story, about the authenticity of his story. You know, about the chronological aspects of his story. You know, I've interviewed John before. Today he's come back on the platform so we can objectively go over the story. Now, guys, he sent me a lot of not seen before footage, photos of of him back in the day with the Gotti family in the Bergen Hun Fish Club. A lot of exclusive stuff. I've seen the 302s. I've done a lot of research on this case. Coming next. Hi guys, thanks for joining us again on the Big Shift. We've got Johnny Alite today. We're going to go right the way through that story, guys. Before we get to that, let me say thank you to everyone coming on the platform, engaging at stephengillen.com and going into the content there. We really aim to inspire, and we're going to be releasing soon our business mastery series. A lot of you guys are asking for this. So what do we do? What do I do? We're going to make that a little bit more clearer. We build national, global brands. You know, our companies go from startup to 200 million plus, guys. So we're going to reveal some of that really good stuff to help and inspire you on your own journey. But now let's get into the content. My special guest today is Johnny Alite. John, thanks for coming on the platform.
Thank you, Stephen, for having me. I want to say hello to everybody, especially in the UK. So I'm over there a lot. I appreciate it.
Now, John, there's been a lot about the authenticity of your story. Thanks for coming on the platform. Me and the team have done a lot of deep research on this. Now, I know you've furnished us with a lot of not seen before exclusive photos to map the chronological journey of your journey in the Gambino family. All of this is going to come. You know, we're going to do a real expose and a series, and this is going to be broken up over 3 parts. So it's all going to be there, guys, and you can make up your own opinion. Now, the first thing we're going to go to, John, if I may, is I want to talk about, there's been a lot of stuff in the press, on YouTube, on platforms, about you calling out John Jr. to a boxing match. What is happening with that, John?
From what I understand, he won't accept it. I've been approached by different organizations, pay-per-view, different platforms that asked me if I would still get in the ring at my age. And I said, yeah, without a doubt. I grew up in a boxing ring. I grew up in a ring with heavyweight fighters, Jerry Cooney, David Sears, that fought Michael Spinks, was in the same camp. I'm very good friends with Bobby Ches. People know that. Prince Badi, who fought Roy Jones Jr., his trainer, Denny Brown, that used to train, and these guys used to train at my training camp on one of my properties in Voorhees. And different individuals, David Reed, who people know is a very famous fighter, fought Trinidad. So I had these guys involved with me. We were all in the, they trained at my property. We also were in camp with Bernard Hopkins, who became a several title champ, middleweight champ. We'd fight and work out with him down at the Firehouse in Philadelphia, and Prince Badi, Antonio Tarver, Prince Badi, sparring partners. So I've been around the game for a while, and these are my personal friends, some of them.
Thanks for that, John. Now, so for people who may not know some backstory on this, why have you called out John Gotti Jr.? I'm just going to get straight to the questions and be very specific. Why, John?
Because for about a decade now, the families are nonstop on Instagram, Facebook, shutting me down, getting people to hack me, childish behavior of trolling, and any platform when I go talk to kids at schools, high schools, which I'm very active around the world in the community, Brownsville, Brooklyn, from where John Gotti Sr. is from. I just had a couple more, my friend Dan, who's a community leader there, It's a split neighborhood from where I grew up on Jamaica Avenue. The Gottis grew up in a exclusively white, rich neighborhood. I grew up in the inner cities where his father grew up. So I do a lot of talking in East New York, Brooklyn, where it's a lot of black and Spanish, not so much white. Poverty areas where I grew up. And we're from the other side of the tracks and these guys. And I guess they don't like where I'm from. And, you know, growing up, we didn't like where they were from. We looked at them as spoiled guys. And we were guys that couldn't afford a pair of sneakers. So I stayed very active in that community.
Right. Now, there's a big backstory to this, you know, and I've seen a lot of even government exhibits that put you guys together. You know, and we're going to put some of this stuff in now for the audience to see as we go through. You know, I've seen the 302s, you know, for instance. We're going to get into that a little bit later. So, you know, there's also other photos of you in the Bergen Fish Club. All of you together, all mate guys.
Yes.
You know, this goes right the way back. I mean, you know, the stuff that I've seen here, you know, we're putting stuff in there just to reinforce this is the look I've got here, you know, from 1982, John, 83, certainly till 1990. You was around this family all the time. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I was around Fat Andy Ruggiano, who was the boss under Albert Anastasia, and he caught a case in about 82, I believe. He went away in about 84. Gotti Sr. was straightened out in about 79. Jeannie Gotti, his brother, was straightened out a little before him, a year before in 78. And Gotti took over in about 83 in our neighborhood as the captain, and I was around Gotti from 83 until Gotti went to prison in the end of 90. So I was around through the whole reign of Gotti's reign for about a decade.
Now, you know, there's a lot of stuff been out there. Like I say, you know, the team has done a lot of research. We have to. We're just about the facts, John, really. You know, we need to get to the facts. I've seen we've collated a lot of different stuff. We've had a lot of different opinions. You know, I've even talked to a lot of the guys on there, you know, with different approaches to, you know, to get to the, you know, the truth of the day of what went on. You know, there's some other videos here. Certainly we're going to get in there where, you know, you're with the Gotti family and Gotti Sr.'s wife there. You know, there's some other people there. You know, we're going to put that in there. So look, you know, to go back a little bit, you know, for someone who was obviously best of friends in that life back in the day, you know, there's a lot of photos, a lot of evidence there that certainly suggests that. Why this bad blood, John?
Well, in 2003, I went on the run, and I knew there was major indictments coming down on me, myself, and some of the members of the Gambino family, captains in the Gambino family, and there was a lot of guys that were already cooperating. When I went on a run in 2005, I was in a Brazilian penitentiary, and while I was in the penitentiary in Brazil, the headlines of the New York papers was Gotti Jr. in a rat's head that he was cooperating with the feds. On one major newspaper, the Daily News, on the New York Post, it said Gotti Jr. is trying out a singing career with the government, that he went in, he called them, and he asked to come in to start to debrief with them and talk about crimes that guys in the Gambino family were accused of. I was in jail when this was going on. I wasn't on the street. I was in a major maximum penitentiary, Bangu 2, and I was also in another one called Ari Franco. Guys from the UK were in prison with me when I got this information. We're still all very good friends, and they were there when I got the notice that he was cooperating. A lawyer, Joseph Carrazzo, for the family, the Gambino family, whose father was a concierge, also agreed and told Gangland News, Mafia paper here in New York, Gotti was a rat. Johnny Alite was trying to help us beat the case. Well, Alite was in jail. He says it's true what I'm saying. So I don't know how anybody's questioning it.
Okay. So, you know, now there's a lot of evidence of you two guys together all the way through this. You know, there's stuff going up on the screen for the audience, as I'm saying. So, you know, as years went on, I mean, you guys was really thick together for a long time. Is that right, John? Is this what you're saying?
It was only 300 people at John Gotti Jr.'s wedding at the Helmsley Palace in New York. His father had to approve the guest list. There's probably 10 to 15,000 members and associates in all 5 families. I happened to be one of the guests. I think I sent you over the amount of money I gave him at that wedding was $5,000. It was probably 95% higher than anybody else. Financially, obviously, I had money to give that kind of money. And he also, I think I sent you a document. He signed my wedding certificate as my best man, and his cousin, Angelo Ruggiero's son, Johnny, who's passed away, also a made member, signed as a witness on behalf of me and my wife in '89. So, yes.
I've certainly seen this stuff. John, I have it here in front of me. So people would say, John, of the evidence that we have here, that certainly you was friends, you navigated a lot of stuff years ago together, done a lot of stuff together. Yeah, there's bad blood that comes. Why can't you guys sort it out then? What is the big hurdle that can't be gotten over, where you can't put stuff to bed and stuff to rest and get on with your lives?
Stephen, I could put it to rest and bed. There's guys, serious gangsters that were trying to kill me. I'm friends with all of them. I'm friends guys and family members that testified against me, cooperated against me. I shake their hand and I'm friends with them and I socialize with them. I have no problem getting along with Gotti also. Their family chooses to carry a narrative comparing him to me, and it doesn't matter after the fact that Gotti ratted. He went in. The New York Mafia, the Italian Mafia in Italy and Canada all recognized John Jr. as a rat, and they would kill him if he went to Canada or Italy. They're not killing the same here in New York, but I guess if they had the opportunity to kill him here too. He's known as a rat. He can fool the public, but his for life, his legacy is he ratted, he cooperated. Now, how somehow he's comparing me to him, that's never going to change that fact. Now, I would talk with him, I'd shake his hand if he would come with me and talk to schools and community groups, but he refuses. His family and him have nonstop attacked me through social media for a decade now. I don't have any issue. I'll say it again. If he's willing to sit and go talk to kids with me, I'll do it tomorrow with him. But if this continues and the false narrative, I'm not going to allow that. The false narrative is not going to be pushed. The truth of the story, and that's fine. But like I said, the people that were my ultimate enemies that killed some of my friends and family members, I'm friendly with them now. The truce was up. We put the white flag up, and we support each other. And I don't do it by words. I do it by actions. I moved on with my life. I do a lot of things with the young kids and groups, juvenile centers, colleges, high schools, not just in this country, in several countries. They asked me to come out and talk. I think you're very familiar with Forbes magazine. They did an article about me being friendly with some of the ex-FBI guys that were pursuing me. I did lectures with them, and I talk truthful. If they ask me if there's kids that I can help, I try to do it.
Okay, John, let's go to this one, because this is an objective interview, and there are people would say there are two sides to every story. So we're just going to go straight to it. What do you say to people then, John, who would say you're a rat, or you cooperated, or you testified for the government? What would you say to those guys?
I'd say it depends on how they define rat. When I was in the penitentiary in Brazil, Gotti Jr. was already meeting the feds. Ronnie Wonham, a captain of the Gambino family, did an opening statement saying I was the Gotti's drug partner, and I'm a loose cannon, a rogue, and a killer. His other captain, Mikey Scars, was also cooperating. His other made guy, Fat Dom, was also cooperating. The boss of Bonanno family, Joe Messino, also cooperated. They were all given information. Greg DePalma also was cooperating, another made guy. These are their guys. Trafficani's cousins, John and Jason Accardi, were approved by Gotti to also cooperate against me from the Trafficani family and the father. So that list I could continue with made guys that all attacked me on two families, not just the underlings and the associates, but all the bosses on both sides, all made guys. There's 302s. I'm sitting in a penitentiary, and the two families came after me with double-fisted, double-barreled to give me a death sentence. And then I said, okay, I got to fight back or I'm a dummy. So, I was loyal to a cause. I left this country. I left my family. I stood in a concentration camp in Brazil for almost 3 years while these guys are flipping one after another against me. So if people consider me a rat after that, so be it. I'm okay with it. I know that I held out and I did what I did to protect my enemies, not just my friends. And really, it doesn't matter what they think of me, whether they call me a rat or not. Doesn't change the fact that John Gotti is still a rat, regardless of what I did, actually.
I've seen some of the 302s, John, right? Facts, we're going to the facts here. Interesting reading a lot of them, really, right? But there's stuff here, there's one here, Junior Gotti saying, what should we do with Johnny Alite? This goes right back to the day, and there's a quote here that's saying, he'll never rat. I mean, this is just stuff,
Right.
It's down to people to make up their own opinions from this, and we're going to come with the facts, right? So it's methodical all the way through. What do you say to that about these 302s, John?
That's Michael Scars Di Leonardo. He was a skipper, 1994. He made that statement. John Gotti Jr. made that statement to Michael Scars as a captain in the Gambino family who also started cooperating, gave that information to the FBI, and John Gotti Jr. said, basically what Ronnie One-Up said, I was a loose cannon. I was out shooting and killing some of the guys from the Gambino family and their associates. And he said, don't worry, Alite will never rat. He's a gangster's gangster. That's John Gotti Jr. saying that in 1994. And that's on a 302 government document from who John Gotti Jr. says was his right-hand man and best friend, Mikey Scars Di Leonardo. I mean, these are these guys' words, not mine.
Okay, so what is the point, John, of doing this, calling out John Gotti Jr. in the ring to sort it out? What's the real point of it, and what do you hope to gain by that, John?
Yeah, you're not going to gain much out of it, honestly. Anybody says I'll give a portion to the kids that they're offering us exuberant amounts of money. I'd give a portion of it to the children and organizations, and it's just to stop this, because I don't know how to stop the day and night trolling, the day and night harassing my family and kids. I don't know how to stop these guys, if we did it and I've shown enough evidence, and hopefully after you walk it through this way and ask me any question you want, I don't hide from any questions. I still live in the neighborhood. Actually, I'm doing the interview in my neighborhood right now in Howard Beach. I'm here 3-4 days a week in the same neighborhood. I'm not like most guys. I didn't go somewhere else and hide. I try to be as honest and precise. And if people don't like to hear the truth, I can't jam it down their throat. So I just want the nonsense to stop at this point. I have a son myself who's in prison.
Okay, so what does John say? What does John Jr. say about accepting that call out, accepting that match? Is he going to accept it? Does he want to accept it? What are you guys doing?
From what I understand from everybody in his camp and friends and family, he says there's no way he'll do anything with me. No way he'll make any kind of money with me, or no way he'll get involved with me in any activities or any talks to kids or schools. And, again, that's his prerogative. He can hate me for the rest of his life if he wants. I moved on with my life. Maybe he's not going in a direction he's happy with his life, so he can't be like the rest of us. The rest of us shake hands and we're gentlemen and we move on. I mean, I got some serious killers that were after me that I'm friends with now. So I'm not just talking nonsense. I was willing to forget it. And I said, you know what? His family did suffer. His father did suffer. Why don't you talk to kids about this, the way I do, and try to help them away from this life? Because at this age, after all the years in prison, all the illnesses and deaths, we all know this life is not a good life. So why not, pass that message on to the young guys?
So what do you say to John Gotti Jr. now? What do you want to say to him about this match? Or what would you say to him now if he was listening, John?
I would say to him, grow up. You're an older man. You're not a kid anymore. We're not kids. Be a gentleman. Learn to humble yourself. Come on your show. I'll talk honestly, just the way we're talking. And it doesn't have to be an argument. It doesn't have to be threatening each other. It doesn't have to be challenging in a ring. It has to do with, say, I'll move your life forward, stop the nonsense. We had our chances to kill each other when we were on the street, didn't happen. Your father lost his life. You know, I loved your father. You know, sometimes you say some bad words at each other. Maybe he didn't mean it. Maybe he means them all. But either way, what is the positive side of this to keep this going like this? I don't see what the positive side is. So if he wants to be a gentleman and talk, I'll talk. If he doesn't want to talk to me ever again, stop the nonsense. If he stops the nonsense, then I'll stop, you know, and I'll stop with my narrative. But the truth is the truth, and I'm willing to be a gentleman with everybody from my past, you know, good and bad, enemies and friends. So, you know, my message is always going to be the same. I came out of jail, said I was going to change my life, and it's by my actions. I did change my life. If I didn't change my life, I would have got violent with a lot of guys that are continuing to bother me. I haven't done it.
Okay, John, thanks for that. Now we're going to go into something else here as well. You know, we'll do a bit more of the backstory. Now, look, you know, I want to talk about some timings here. You know, Anthony Ruggiano. I've interviewed Anthony. You know, his father, Andy, he was very central in the Gambino family. Everyone knows that. This is a good indication of timings here. All right, well, things was happening, and you know, as I say, I've talked to Anthony. So, what was the dynamic around that time with you and that family regarding the Gambino family, and what was going on at that time before Fat Andy passed? Right, you know, later on, because he was central in the Gambino family. What can you tell us about that?
Fat Andy again was one of the most famous gangsters for people in the mob world. For the public, they don't know who he is because we kept a very quiet outlook on the mob in the old days. Nobody talked. There was no social media. There was no TV. That, you know, you were supposed to keep a low profile. Fat Andy was straightened out by Albert Anastasia, Murder Inc. He was kind of a grandfather figure to me. I was around the Ruggiano family since I'm a little boy. I mean, literally a little boy. 7, 8 years old, I played baseball. I was in and out of the Ruggiano family house. They were my coaches. His father would be at all my games. I was in the boxing gym with the family at the Lost Battalion. They were always there. Albert was very, very good with his hands. Anthony would be there also. So, you know, I maintained a very close relationship with the Ruggiano family. And in my first book, Gotti's Rules, I talk about a guy trying to shoot me. And Albert Ruggiano and Andy Ruggiano took care of it. Anthony, I believe, was in jail at that time. They threw a guy off a roof was trying to shoot me as a young man. I was about 15. So the family not only was, you know, teaching me the life, and I was around the life as almost, you know, a family member in their house. They protected me, saved my life from a serious gangster that was, you know, an older guy at that time in his 30s somewhere trying to kill me. So, you know, it wasn't just by words. The neighborhood knew I was around the Ruggiano family.
So what do you say, John, to people? I mean, many people, they don't understand the life, you know, but, you know, so just ask specific questions. What do you say to the people who say, well, you was always an associate, you're not Italian, you know, you're never going to be a mad guy, you're never going to be brought into the inner circle, as it were. How would you be party to know some of the things that you say that you know?
Because you got a guy like a movie like Tom Hayden from The Godfather. He was adopted by him. He wasn't Italian. He sat with the boss every day. That was my life. I was around Fat Andy Ruggiano, was like my grandfather. So obviously Anthony Ruggiano speaking to you, and he tells you that's the truth. I'm around the guy since I'm a baby. I was in his house day and night. I was accepted by Gotti Sr. the same way, obviously, because I'm in every family picture. I'm picking him up from court, Gotti Sr. I'm sleeping in his house. I'm coming out of his house. So you look at guys like the Irish guys, the Westies. They're guys that work for our families, that meet directly with some of the top echelon bosses. You have Joe Watts, that was the right-hand man almost to Gotti Sr. on a constant basis, who's German. So, you know, for the people who don't understand, Jimmy Burke from Goodfellas, these are movies, but these are real guys that I stayed with Jimmy Burke's son. You know, when you're in the level we are, we do sit down, obviously, with these bosses. We're in their company. We're living in their houses. We are the commodity of their life because we're the shooters. So when you're a strong arm and a shooter, you're a commodity. But I had a different look because I grew up on the laps of these guys since I'm a baby. So when people talk, they just don't understand the mob, because nobody's going to tell a Wester you're not a gangster or you don't talk to the boss. They would have killed them.
I mean, look, you know, even from the life that I understand, you know, of organized crime, the grooming of it all and the process of it all, yes, it's a hierarchy. Yes, there's rules, of course. It's very secretive by its nature. But when you're growing up amongst these guys and you're in and out of the family, you know, you're with the family and all this stuff, people talk. People talk. You get to hear stuff and you get very close to people, you know, and you are a commodity. You are a commodity because you are being groomed. You are being groomed, you know, to be a commodity, John, you know, as you said, you know. So I have an experience of that myself, right? That's a fact. So at that time, now look, you know, there's also phone calls to Sammy Gravano at this time. We're going to play some of that because Sammy's asked some very pointed questions about you, John, right? Very specific questions like I'm asking, and he gives his answer. We're going to play some of this now, just an excerpt of this, go back, and then we're going to play some more.
Can I talk to Mr. Gravano?
Sorry for me taking time.
Okay. Hi, this is Andy Deliana. We spoke a couple of weeks ago, or a few months ago, through John Alite. I don't know if you remember. Yes? Okay. I'm a film director, and we're working on a few projects.
You want to go further? So this
series probably that are called The Perfect Gangster. I don't know if you're aware of that. Yeah?
Fucking lady.
Okay. We already done 2 episodes, and there are more to come. And we started with John Alite and a few others. The goal of the project is to meet gangsters and to find what could be the main features of a gangster, what life on the street means to them, and at the heart of their life, what is the biggest of the struggle and their achievements, what makes them the perfect gangster. This is the main quest. All around that is also stories about the mob in general and Italian mafia in general, without being specific about one character or another. It's depending more on what they want to show, what they want to expose, that they think is relevant for their life, their own quest. So I just did an introduction, a little bit of what the show is about, the documentary is about, and I wanted to talk to you as well because I find you extremely interesting as a character, as a person, as what you've done. I know very well, I mean, what the media already talked about it, stories of the past. I would love to see a little bit where you're standing now and a few questions about John Alite as well, if that's okay with you. All right, okay. How do you feel now that you are out and you're back in life? How do you feel?
I feel good.
All right.
I just did 17 years in prison.
Okay.
And getting out, I mean, I feel pretty good.
Okay.
I was in contact with my friend Alite. He was in the Gambino family. Very powerful member of the Gambino family. He's my Albanian mafioso soulmate.
Okay.
I think the world of him. I mean, he's a legitimate tough guy. I think he was put under the wrong people at the time when he was in the Gambino family. I wish he was part of my crew, but that didn't happen. So right now, I mean, I feel pretty good. I'm just working on a few things myself.
Great.
And I'm adjusting back into society after that long of a period of time in prison.
Do you feel that you have the most important features of a true gangster? Yes. Or truth.
What it teaches is loyalty, honesty. You have to have those things. If you betray your friends, they betray you. And that happens over and over again. It happened to me. It happened to Johnny Alite. And once that happens, everything falls apart. Once you lose the honesty and the loyalty, why should anybody else keep it? So those are important things when you take your oath coming into the mafia. Those are very, very important. And you have to live that every day of your life.
So he's asked, Sammy's asked some really simple questions about you, John. We've just heard what he's saying there about you. Now, he was the underboss at that time to John Sr. So he was obviously, you know, we know the story. It's a very iconic, famous story in the New York mob. So what did you say about the dynamic? Did you know Sammy then at this time? Obviously, he must have knew you. I mean, we've just heard him say that.
Yeah, I knew Sammy. I didn't get, you know, in the mob world, you don't get intimate with guys unless you're doing business, direct business with them. Whether it's you're going to do a hit with them, you're going to take an order about hurting somebody. So my guy was directly John Gotti. I lived in his house. I slept there. You know, I'm with his son day and night. He put me, Bobby Borriello, with him day and night because we were violent guys. We were known on the street, and it elevated Junior as a serious guy in the street world. John was very keen and savvy on the street, meaning Gotti, the father. And he understood this, and he understood the loyalty of me growing up around the family in their house, that I would take it to another level for him. When you have outsiders, they betray you. No different than Paul Castellano got betrayed. Because when you don't have your personal guys and your personal family members involved, you always have that betrayal of someone trying to kill you out of trying to step up into those positions. So, you know, for somebody to say, Johnny Alite, who were you? Johnny Alite, in the era of no photos and videos, I'm with that family. I'm in his daughter Vicky's wedding in 1984. Like I said, I'm part of the wedding party. If I'm a nobody and I'm committing this violence, I wouldn't be in their wedding parties. I wouldn't be in their house. I wouldn't be in the Ravenite. I wouldn't be in the Bergen. I wouldn't be in the Ravenite, especially because it's only made members. So when Sammy Gravano is speaking about me, he's speaking out of knowledge that I'm John Gotti's guy. John Gotti never wanted me to be close to Sammy. There's a reason behind that, because this world's treachery. And he wanted to know that I'd pull that trigger if he ever needed me to his underboss. And this is just our world. It's such treachery. Everybody's killing everybody. When the time comes, a guy's expendable.
And you believe, you know, by that time that you would have thought that John, you know, because he was asking you, you know, you're saying that John at that time, you as hitman enforcer, and he may have asked you, as he may have asked you, you know, for other guys, maybe to hit Sammy Gravano. Is that what you're saying?
100%. As a young man, when he first started telling me, I don't want you getting close to certain guys, I didn't understand. I'm green. They're grooming me. As I do learn, I understand that means he doesn't trust him as fully as everybody thinks he trusts him. I says he might use him as his underboss and he puts him out front, but he's not his brother Richie or Pete or anybody else, even though they might not have the capabilities in the mob world that Sammy may have. But the trust value in him, obviously John's always worried about, will this guy shoot me in the head like Paul Castellano ended up dead, or Angelo Bruno in Philly ended up dead, or a million other, or Albert Anastasia ended dead, because they all die by the hands of betrayal. And John, again, Gotti may have some faults, but he was a very, very smart street guy, and he understood this.
There's some photos in there of Stevie Borrello, some other photos in there that you've mentioned, John, and videos. I want to go forward a little bit to some other points here. So I'm trying to get the timelines in here really, really clear. I mean, in 1997, you was away and you was Jeannie Gotti's cellmate. Right?
I was in 1997. I was Jeannie Gotti's.
1997. I've got this down here. Tell us about this, because this is years later, right? So this is it. So Jeannie Gotti, 1997. Tell us about that.
I was in prison in Fairton, and the Gambino family asked me. There was a guy there, Bobby Brooksy. Jackie D'Norcio was there also. He's part of the Jersey crew. And they were having problems with a guy, Louis Oricchio. You know, I'd like to say my condolences. He just passed away. And he killed John DiGilio, who was a captain at the time on the waterfront. And he was having problems with these guys in Fairton. It was a medium facility, FCI. I walked into the joint. I got messages from the street from the Gambino family. They needed me to hurt him. So I hurt Louis Oricchio in prison. They shipped me into solitary confinement, shipped me out to another jail. Obviously, they separate us after that, you know, that assault. And I ended up in McKean prison with some very famous gangsters there. Persico was there, Carmine Persico, the boss of the Colombo family, his brother Teddy. There was another guy, Patty Della Russo, that I grew up with since we were kids. He was involved in those days with the Lucchese family. And Jeannie Gotti, Joe Gambino, who obviously are from my family. And when I come into the facility, I happen to be in Jeannie Gotti and Joe Gambino's unit. And Jeannie Gotti asked me to cell with him. Naturally, he knew me since I'm a kid. And I celled with Jeannie Gotti. Later on, we had some issues. But at the time, I celled with Jeannie Gotti. Yeah.
Okay, John. So what do you say to people who say to you, oh, you was discredited as a witness and all this stuff? What do you say to them people, John?
Well, people need to read the Forbes article because Gotti Jr.'s lawyer, Gotti's Jr.'s lawyer, John Mariglio, who's a very famous attorney that handles all the bosses in New York. He's one of the top attorneys in the country. He says to Forbes, our whole defense was Johnny Alite was a maniac, a nut, half a serial killer, and that he was way too dangerous for John Gotti Jr. to control, that only Gotti Sr. could control him. So the jurors felt that they didn't understand the hierarchy of the mob. They didn't understand, yes, John Gotti Sr. is controlling me, but through John Gotti Jr. He passes him his messages. I'm with his crew, and it's for John Gotti Jr. So the jury just felt, and John, the lawyer, said, the jury just felt I was way too dangerous for John Gotti Jr., who wasn't dangerous at all. That's his lawyer's statements, not mine. And if anybody gets the paperwork on the case, they blame all the murders on me and John Gotti Sr., the Louis DeBono murder, who I had pled out guilty to, and John Gotti got convicted senior of. So all the murders were blamed on us two, not on his son.
So what do you say about, you know, people who say about the feds discredited some of the stuff? I mean, we all know the games that go on here, John, but I have to ask you this question simply. What do you say to people who say about, oh, well, the feds said you wasn't a reliable witness? What do you say about that? What's going on with that?
Well, again, that's ridiculous. If you look at the jury pool on conviction, on just some of the things I said, he was convicted of 10-2. So, and if you listen to the prosecutors, the attorney generals, and the FBI agents in the Forbes article, which they're all interviewed, they concur that I'm very accurate on how many people I say I shot or hurt or what I had to say. And my narrative is, they say I have an unbelievable memory. So, you know, I really don't care if people think I'm a good witness or not. I'm not there to be a good witness. I'm not there to be an actor. I'm there to just give facts. And if you look at the jury pool where they convict Junior, it was very hard to convict him because he had great attorneys and because he was on trial 3 times prior to that, and because he was a cooperating witness. So there was a lot of information they couldn't allow in because he had a deal during some of that stuff when he was a cooperator. The FBI did not call him in. Him and his lawyers asked to meet them to cooperate. There's a big difference here. And some of the information he gave wasn't allowed to be divulged because of his cooperation. So some of this takes into fact, and also, you know, I'm not here to grade the prosecutors, how good they were or bad they were, or their other witnesses. So to me, I gave facts. I think it was, you know, the Forbes article goes through it, check by check, and, you know, people can say what they want. You know, that doesn't bother me.
Jimmy Calandra. Now, there's been stuff out there about Jimmy, and he's calling you out, some, you know, M&A format, fight, and all this, John. What is this about?
This guy's a low-level drug guy, and I don't even like talking about him because the Gottis do this always. They get somebody they find to troll and go up front for them so they don't have to talk. So I'm not going to waste my energy. I wasted it on 1 or 2 shows. They were taped. So somebody said, why do you keep talking about it? I'm not talking about it. I will never mention him again. Like right now, I don't want to mention him. It doesn't matter to me. He wasn't involved with me and the Gottis. He wasn't involved in Abu Ghada. He did rat and put away 2 guys, Reynolds for life and Fabrizio. And I guess if he was a cooperating witness and he wants to change his life, he wouldn't be talking the way he does. And I guess he's going to have to worry about dealing with them because they're going to be home in a couple of years. As far as anybody else, my fight is with Gotti, and it's going to stay there. Nobody's going to put anybody else in front. And I'm going to handle Gotti whatever which way we have to do it, whether it's as gentlemen and shake hands, whether it's going to continue with this nonsense, or whether it's in a ring. But it's going to be Gotti, and no one's going to distract me from going where my issue is. My issue are with the Gotti family, and that's never going to change, and nobody's going to distract me from it. I'm a pretty intelligent guy. I'm not going to get sidetracked somewhere else.
Now, John, there's a lot of names here, that fly about, obviously, right? So, I'm just going to narrow it down to some more to try and get a bit more clarity for the viewers. Now, you've sent me over some of the government exhibits, for instance. There'll be some of them here for the audience to have a look at, some corroborating stuff. They're entitled to their own opinion, right? This is a very objective interview. Frankie DeCiso, was he a friend of yours? Now, he was the original underboss before Sammy. He lost his life. He was blown up in a car bomb, right, I believe, right? So what was the connection with you 2 guys?
Frankie DeCico is at the Ravenite video I gave you. I was very friendly with the DeCico family, with Georgie DeCico, his brother, and Butter, which his real name is Joey DeCico. Their nephews were Frankie, I don't want to say his last name, who was also a made guy, ran the unions, who me and him were best friends and still are best friends. These are guys that you'll see in those Ravenite videos with me, kissing me hello and playing around with me. So, talking. And the family is, certain members of the family are still very friendly with me. So, when people talk about these guys, these are personal friends. Some of them passed away, obviously, since. But like I said, their nephew is one of my best friends and still my best friend. And he just doesn't get involved in this nonsense. He thinks it's nonsense. And he tries to tell me all the time the same thing. Get out of this nonsense. There's nothing to prove with these guys.
So what is the future for you, John? There's a lot of stuff that's been going on for a while. There's a lot of content out there and all that, right? All this being said, what is the future for you, John, with all this?
My future is never going to change. I said it from the time I was in jail. I saved the guards. The inmates tried to jump a guard that I protected. I saved them from getting hurt very badly or possibly killed. I said it from jail. I'm going to change my life. I changed my life. I advocate for youth, kids, first-time offenders, people that are in prison, whether they ever change their life or not. I got an open door policy for all of them. And then I'm involved in projects. So, but my passion is really helping people not follow this nonsense, because it's not just the pain of before. And I'm not talking about the physical pain of being stabbed up or shot or jails. I'm talking about losing family members. I'm talking about losing my own personal family. I'm talking about my own sons in prison because of my life now, my one son. I'm talking about the nonsense that goes on today with the nonstop of this stuff that's in the middle of my life, that it's very difficult to enjoy your life. And I think that's what they're trying to do, is make it difficult for me to enjoy my life. But, I'm a worldly guy. I traveled all over the world, different countries. I'm involved in a 10-part series. I'm involved with Klaus, that was in prison in Brazil, on his lifetime story that I'm going to Spain to film. I got another project coming out on Disney Plus and National Geographic in September. I got a new book out called Mafia International, John Alite, and I got my podcast. So I'm very busy. I'm involved in other projects outside of this world in a business community. And I know how to move forward my life. I know how to reinvent myself. And I know how to forgive guys that try to kill me and guys that testified against me. I do it. People see me in pictures with them, so obviously I'm not lying about that. If other guys can't move forward and they're angry about what they did and cooperated or didn't cooperate, whatever they did, It's not important to me. If they don't have a happy life, family life, and they don't know how to move forward, that's on them. They're not going to keep dragging me down. So, you know, it is a pain in the ass, excuse my language, of these guys trying to drag me into this nonsense, because it is kids stuff. And as adults, we should be worried about when these guys are trolling like this. They set an example for young kids. They're seeing this and then they think it's okay. I mean, it's really a terrible way in adults to behave, and they behave that way out of insecurity, jealousy, envious.
Well, one thing can definitely be said, John, by the history and the facts, is that all you guys, you, the Gotti family, many other guys, legions of guys, certainly went through a lot of pain, a lot of prison, a lot of violence, a lot of stuff back in the day. It's different now. Many have moved on. Everyone has their choice. But this is a fact. This is a fact. So what do you say to people who say, John Alite, he's, you know, I've seen this one too, so I'm going to ask you straight. He just does it because it's a front, or he's greedy, or he's trying to get money out of it, right? What do you say to them people who say that?
You know, I say to people that are continually watching my life and trolling, if you don't like me, why do you keep watching my life? I don't follow anybody else's life. If you don't like me, turn it off. Don't listen to what I have to say. Don't follow my YouTube. Don't read my books. Don't watch my shows. What's such anger and jealousy of me that you follow me to that extent? If you know, they're allowed their opinion. I don't got to try to convince them to like me. I really don't care if they like me or not. I joke. I say I'm the Donald Trump of the mafia. They want to attack me. For what reason? You attack me once? Okay. But why do you continue watching all my shows? Why do you continue listening to me? Why do you continue to follow me? I like these keyboard gangsters and warriors when they talk about John Gotti Sr. as a man's man. Yeah, they're easy to say that because they're sitting on their couch pretending they're gangsters. Well, that man died, suffered alone, without family, without friends, choked on his own spit, suffered incredibly. Instead of the idiot saying, wow, this poor man suffered in jail, I never want to be like that, they talk stupid. Because they're not, you know, it's very easy to say that when they're showering in their shower and they're eating a nice steak and they're sleeping in bed with, you know, with whoever. But to actually live the life we all lived and go through the suffering, because we know what it is to get shot. We know what it is to get stabbed. We know what it is to see family members die and get shot while we're in prisons, or the suffering of our family doing. So I'm just very realistic. They don't like that I talk straightforward. I don't hedge words. I wear my heart in my sleeve. And I'm not intimidated anybody, or I wouldn't live in New York. I would have hid away somewhere like a lot of guys do. I don't do that.
Do you have regrets, John, about the past, about the old life, about these things that have gone on?
Oh, of course, everybody's going to have regrets. But if I live in regrets, you never move forward. You know, so yeah, I got regrets. I think about some things. I wish I did things differently. I wish I became a lawyer, a politician, or a ball player like I planned. I wish that, you know, I didn't kill and shoot as many people as I did, obviously. You know, I went through PTSD. I have my crying spells myself. I'm not ashamed to say it. I've said it on a million shows. You know, the difference is I'm okay with opening the windows and doors to my life and let people, you know, look in. Other people talk a lot, but they don't open the windows and doors. So, you know, when you have, and I'm going to have to say this name, and I don't like saying it, when you have a bitter old woman, Angel Gotti, who runs around on a computer like a 10-year-old and nonstop calls you a liar or a rat, and it's so childish. But the girl went through 3 divorces. His father himself, this is his father's words, called her a rat, said she's Sammy Gravano and worse. So if she can't live with that, then I'm sorry that you got to hate me because you got no life. Go get a husband, act like a lady, act like a woman, and behave. You know, conduct yourself with respect for other kids. I don't think she has the ability of doing that because she's so miserable within her own life. I don't know what to say at this point. This is so childish. And if somebody sees what she does day and night for years, that anger and that hostility, she doesn't know anything about the mafia. Her father didn't discuss it with her. So where's she getting her opinions from? And why does a brother allow her to do that? I don't do that with my sisters or mother or anybody. So, you know, it's a terrible thing the way she behaves. She should be ashamed of herself. And obviously she's not.
So if you could go back, John, in this life and change stuff, what would you want to change?
I would continue going to school. I would have got involved in politics. I don't like where the world's going today. And maybe it made a difference in a positive way. I lived a terrible, negative life. You know, the funny thing is, Stephen, when people say, oh, he thinks he's a tough guy. No, I don't. I think I was a piece of shit back then. So there's the point. I'll call myself what I tell other guys. I was garbage. I was taking lives. I was hurting people. I was shooting people. But I'm not a liar. So I'm the guy that was actually shooting people and stabbing people. And all these guys that I call out are fake guys that didn't do the work I did. And the reason why I'm very upfront about it is because I don't want kids to buy into this nonsense. And again, so the people that are listening, if they want to hear, I call myself a piece of shit before. I call myself garbage before. I call myself a lowlife before. The difference is I'm not that guy anymore. I'm trying to change kids so they understand, don't be what I used to be. Be who I am today. It's very easy for 100 people to attack you when you're one. But I'm okay with that. I'm a strong individual. They can have 1,000 of them trolling on me and I'll be okay with that because I know my message is positive now to kids, not negative.
Well, it's a sure thing, John, that to live a life like that and to hurt people and do them things is wrong. Even the way that I live, I certainly paid for it 2, 4, 5 times, right? And I would not condone that life. But people change. People also make mistakes. What I would say is, and I say this many, many times, no matter who we are, what we've done, where we come from, or even where we're going, is we are a lot more than the differences that have separated us in the past. And this is important. There must be forgiveness. Look, I want to ask you. So, look, you've called out John. There's a lot of stuff here. The audience have seen a lot of, videos, photos, some other stuff on there. They can make up their own mind about that. So how would you really, if you had a magic wand, John, with all of this stuff that we've talked about, how would you like it to be now or in the future? How do you see that?
I'm happy with my life now, very happy. I have a great family life again. I'm very close with my kids. My one son, obviously, I'm sad about his situation. My other sons live a very good life. They go to work. They're very positive. They stay away from this. They see all the suffering on all ends. They don't want nothing to do with it, and I'm really glad about that. And, I like what I do. I advocate for kids. I go speak for kids. I keep them off the street. Every day I save a life. And there's hundreds of guys from jail that are doing all kinds of sentences that stay in touch with me. And I don't want to use the word cheerlead or whatever. They back me and they tell me, continue doing what you're doing. You're making a difference. If you think you're not, everybody in these prisons are following you and listening to you and wish that we can help you. And there's hundreds, and I'm talking about some serious guys in those penitentiaries that are in touch with me. And, I know they're suffering every day. Those poor bastards are in jail, waking up in those cells. And you know better than anybody, Stephen, what that misery is. It's just a pit hole of wasted life and time and depression. And you do your best you can while you're there, but it's misery. And when people not telling the truth to these young men out here, and they talk about money, and I keep saying, crime doesn't pay. The street, you only pay with your life, one way or another, whether it's years in jail wasted or dead. And when you're there, your family members like your mom or dad and your siblings and whoever else pass away, or they don't talk to you anymore because you cause them so much pain. There is nothing good in that life, and there's so many other things that we can do. Like John Gotti, we're going to use because the world knows him. He was no dummy, the father. He's one of the smartest guys I met, maybe not school educated, but very, very educated people person. He could have been a CEO of a company anytime he felt like it. He knew how to run people. He knew how to maneuver people. And if that poor man got a second chance at life, this is what the Gottis should be wasting their time about. Stop wasting your time with these dumb projects trying to hurt everybody. And what are you accomplishing? What is this accomplishing? Like I said, they can go after me forever. It's never going to change what he did with his life. It's never going to do that. And it's never going to change the fact that they suffered. He suffered. His father suffered. His sister is naive and ignorant as she is. Obviously, is suffering and angry at something because she's not happy with her life. Because happy people don't do negative things. They do positive things. So that's really my message. Stay positive.
Thanks, John. In that vein, for me, it's all, it's about the mission, certainly about the purpose. It's even about the legacy now in my life. There's a lot of other influences out there. You tell us about your mission, your purpose. Michael Franzese, Sammy the Bull, Gravano now, years have gone on. There's a lot of stuff out there about Sammy and about Michael. They kind of have their message. What do you think about these guys? There's a lot out there. What's your view on that?
When I first came back, Michael Franzese was attacking Sammy Gravano like crazy. And this is the problem with the treachery of the life. I tried to stand for Sammy, and he backbit me. And, and this is why I don't respect a lot of these guys. See, like, you got a guy like Michael Franzese, nobody's got to take my word for it. His message is a lie. He's 35 years removed out of the mafia. His real father isn't Sonny Franzese, it's Chubby. His own stepfather, adopted father, was Sonny Franzese, who does an interview with Greg Vita on tape and says, my son's a rat, he ratted me out. He left my family in the street. Now, that's not me saying it, Sonny said it. It's on video. He also curses his brother, Al Johnny, who was a tough guy, who did cooperate, changed his life, and I give him a lot of credit. And he left his brother out there, and his brother was his guest speaker at his 70th birthday party last week. So these guys don't have the ability to shake somebody's hand and be upfront and be genuine gentlemen. A guy like yourself, and not because you're interviewing me, I speak highly of it. I speak highly of Brian the Taxman from the UK, because you guys just conduct yourself with true honesty and move on. Same with Sammy Gravano. You weren't that 19 murders. I'm sorry, stop lying to these kids out there. And this is a very simple question. If it is, answer it. How many of them did you shoot? So people understand you're not a shooter. You're a guy that delegated that work out to guys like me. I said, so that's okay, but stop giving that fake message. You're hiding in Arizona. You started selling drugs when you got a second chance. You didn't want to change your life. You're not an underboss. You became one of the most famous guys that cooperated. And I tried to stand for them. But when guys do things that they do, like the Machiavelli stuff, and put people out front attacking me, I understand the life. And if you're such a killer, then come back to New York like me and come out here without your armed security. When you even met me, you had 6 security guys. So, I'm going to call them out because I'm doing it for the kids. And John Gotti Jr., your father died on his spit in jail because Sammy Gravano put him away for life. So if you wanted to be the gangster, you should have killed Sammy Gravano. What are you coming after me for? I didn't make your father suffer and die in jail. So he didn't really care about his father. He cares about his own image. This is the problem with the mafia. And how people and the young guys can't see this, I'm going to make them see it. Because I'm going to ask each one of them, well, tell us what you personally did. Stop telling stories about Paul Castellano or Neil Della Croce, because I can do that. You want to hear a real gangster, the biggest gangster around that nobody talks about? Johnny Cornelia. Johnny Cornelia was the shooter, was the gentleman, was the fun guy to go out with. Who did 50 years because Gotti told him to, or he would have did 9. I mean, whether the guy likes me or not is besides the point, but I'm honest. This is the guy that was out there actually doing this stuff. So when these guys are portraying themselves as something they're not, and then they're still doing the same treacherous nonsense and conning the public and conning kids, I got to call them out. Because if John Gotti Jr. wanted to be that killer, you would have killed Sammy. If somebody hit my sister, which he did, I shot the hell out of him. Another guy robbed my sister and he testified for Gotti Jr. I baseball batted him all over the place. I didn't ask nobody to come with me. I did these things by myself because I try to be true to what I am and who I believe in. Although I don't believe in that anymore. But at least when I did believe in it, I didn't have to get somebody else to do it for me. I did it. And I do it by names and locations and places and dates. I want to see these guys come out straightforward. They cooperated and say, who'd you shoot? I want to hear it. David did Value Entertainment, Patrick, with Sammy, and he asked him the question. He ducked it. You know why he ducked it? I believe he shot 2 people. One of them is a 15-year-old kid. So when you're telling me you're a gangster, you killed a 15-year-old kid, the rest of your life you should be advocating for children. Be a gentleman and advocate that you suffered, you cried. Same thing I said. You cried. You were a piece of shit. Same thing I called myself, piece of shit. When Michael Franzese not even gentleman and man enough to say who his real father is, because he only makes money off of Sonny's name, that's garbage. And if you can't say, and I don't hedge words, this is why they don't like me. And if you can't say that you were a rat and you're trying to con kids, then let's listen to Sonny's own words on an interview on the thing. So here, and both these guys, by the way, Sammy and Michael, don't know nothing about the mafia. They've been well removed 35 years. Michael didn't even have the decency to see his stepfather, go to his wake and funeral because he's too scared 35 years later. This is the reality. I live here. So when I say this, it's not because I hate these guys. It's because I'm saving kids' lives. And I'm sorry if they don't like what I said, and they'll attack me 100%. They won't do it themselves. They'll put trolls out in front. But at least I'll tell you right now, I'll have them on a show with you also at the same time on your show. And we can discuss what I just said. And I'm sorry that, you know, I tried to do the right thing and speak up for Sammy because I really believe that maybe he changed his life. But obviously, he talks nonsense. And these guys ain't about it. John Gotti at least was about it.
Thanks for that view. John, I mean, I don't know, Sammy, you know, we've messaged a few times.
And I'm not trying to.
No, you know, that's as much as it goes with me and Sammy. I've interviewed Michael, me personally. I like Michael. You know what I'm saying? It's objective, John. It has to be objective. It has to be said. Because I don't know enough. I don't know enough.
Well, Stephen,
this is your view, John. You're entitled to it. You really are. So that's what I'm saying. You know, people, they have to take what they want to take from that.
Well, Michael, listen, I'm honest. Michael is articulate. He does carry himself as a gentleman, but that doesn't mean he is a gentleman. And it doesn't mean he's going to get my respect the way he treats his father. And I try to be nice to Michael on a couple of occasions. But Michael's another guy that understands the Machiavelli world. And same with him. They try to talk with these kids that they did this or did that. They're not violent guys. He was a moneymaker. Actually, it was his father's. It was Sonny's scam. It wasn't his. And, you know, so he took that. And I'm just being honest. These guys aren't being honest to the kids. So if I'm wrong, then talk with me on your show too. I said, show me where I'm wrong. But, you know, I'm not going to accept the Machiavelli stuff that they're trying to do. I'm not that guy. Everybody knows that I'm a guy that comes up forward. I'll go against all these guys. I don't need a group of guys. I don't need a group of people to like me. I'm going to do what I'm doing for kids, and I'm going to keep doing it. And I'm going to shine the light on these guys when they're doing the wrong thing and they're negative people. And they're trying to embellish what they were in their situations, and they're naming titles. Because I can name titles too. Sammy's underboss, and he ratted. And if he chose not to rat, he would still be underboss. Michael Franzese ratted. He was a captain. Whitey Bulger ratted, and he's dead. He was a boss. Al Diarco, Lucchese family, he ratted. He was a boss. Joe Messina, he ratted. And they all hide somewhere. But Johnny Alite's still here. So there's the difference with me. I don't just, you know, talk it. I walk it. So if they're such tough guys, come back around. And they could carry that title with them. The problem the kids got to understand is when they have 1,000 guys, they think they're tough guys. When they're alone, they're weak. So that's the truth. And, you know, and I'm not going to hedge because I'm going to save kids' lives.
Thanks, John, for your view. Like I said, you're very entitled to your view too, of how you see it. We all have a past, like all the guys that we've mentioned here, including me. So in the spirit of the past being the past and the forgiveness of going forward, John, because I want to get into more than this and your mission and where you actually are and where you want to be, John, after all of this. Because everyone wants to be somewhere else in that life as well. That's the truth, right? So where do you want to be, John, now in the future? You know, where do you want to be with your work, with all of this stuff? What would you like to be doing and how would you like it to be?
You know, obviously I was always a businessman since I was younger. I owned 4 nightclubs. I owned 12 homes. You know, I had a ton of money illegally. Obviously, I obtained it. I owned 2 glass companies, parking companies. So I was always a businessman. I'm heading in that direction again, trying to get successful in business. I hope I open up a couple other companies I'm looking at now. And I'll never get away from advocating for young kids and the youth and doing talks at colleges, at high schools, Newark High School, and different schools. I got juvenile centers that I've been doing, working for second chance programs with the organizations out of Texas, with different people out of there that are very friendly with me. And I work with inner city kids because I grew up in the inner city. So I'm in, I advocate in Brownsville a lot with Dan and a couple of people from there that involve with community leaders there. And I just hope to grow that and different organizations for youth and continue this in a positive way and make money the right way, the legal way. And, and people say, well, he's doing this to make money. Of course I'm trying to make money. But, in the genre of children, when I go talk at Brownsville, I do it free. When I talk at Newark High School, I do it free. When I talk at Ocean County College or Rowan College, I do it free. So when people are questioning that, they can check. I do it free. I don't make money off that stuff. They do that from my heart because it's therapy to me. And it's knowing some of those lives I took and people I hurt. Maybe I can get some therapy back by doing the right thing. And I'm helping some kids not to end up like I was, because I was a college kid too at one time. And I went from being a college kid to a killer. John Papa was a kid that's doing life in jail, had killed some of his friends. He was a very educated kid. He played football, soccer, meaning football, soccer. They call it, by us, they call it soccer. We call it football, or I call football too because of the Albanian background. But, he was and the poor kid is doing life and he ruined his life killing his own friends. So when you're educated and well an athlete, you can turn and go the wrong way. So when all those kids are in schools, a lot of those kids are going to go the wrong way, unfortunately. And it takes guys like yourself and me and other people that have the fortitude and the presence to go help these kids and not make it about our egos. And I'm able, see, when I just called Sammy out and Michael out and Junior out, I also called myself out. I don't want this to get lost. I also called myself a piece of shit. I also called myself a lot of things. So this ain't about us. This is about those kids. And when these guys realize and wake up and understand that, and that's why I talk about Brian the Taxman. I don't know if you know him or not, but he's very friendly with me. We get into each other. When I'm upset, he talks to me, and I got to give him a lot of credit. There's other guys out there that talk to me. Another guy, Adam, that's in a boxing field, and he's an ex-police officer. I just speak to him a lot. There's another guy, William, that I speak to. These are positive people that tell me constantly, don't let anybody get under your skin. They help me more than they think. Because I look at these guys and I say, every time I get a little weakness, because our natural tendency, Stephen, is to go back to where we're comfortable. And where we're comfortable was in the street and violence. But that's our first thought process. I don't think that'll ever go away. But we learn to be mentally strong and change the first thought process into something else. And that's what I developed into, something else now. And they can't get me to do what I used to do, and they're not going. Or if I do that, I disappoint every child I'm trying to teach that they can do it. So I'm not going to do it.
Thanks for that. Yeah, it certainly is about the next generations. I mean, me just personally, just quickly to put, we just signed something there where, we're helping 306 schools in the UK here. That's 1 million children. But I love this. Let's localize this because their target is to help 1 billion children inside 5 years. They're trialing into the US as well. We're going to help them with that. But we're giving money. We give money and time and all of this stuff, and we're very happy to do that. This is one of the things close to my heart, right? So I know how this stuff works. So look, John, our last question. For the things that you've done then, the violent actions you've done, I know you've been to prison and you paid for them and other stuff. Is there redemption for you? How do you feel about the stuff that you've done and the victims and all that, John?
We don't talk too much about religion and God, but I believe God saved my life because I had a purpose. I changed my life. I talk to God on a regular basis. I go into churches. I speak to ministers and pastors. I speak to priests. And I believe that, I'm faith bound and I don't overkill it because I don't want to scare people away. When I start talking about God, people get a little funny. But I believe that there's a purpose in my life, and I took it to that purpose. And that purpose is a message, and I'm here to pass that message. And whether it's meeting you and people like in your organization and get involved in anywhere I can to help kids and youth and even adults that were in opposition that didn't have the ability to turn it away. And if we can get in their heads and help them change their life and know that as a human being, they deserve a life. They don't have to feel like they don't deserve a life. And I think over these years, I started to understand that I deserve a life. And that when I look in the mirror, I don't have to be angry at myself for what I did, that I can move forward and do things positive and teach these kids that. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm proud of myself in a lot of ways. And, you know, sometimes I say stupid things or I write something and I regret it, but I'm a human being and I'm not going to be perfect. But overall, I'm really happy in the direction I'm going, in the direction I took a lot of people with me in a positive way now.
It's certainly a process, you know, personally, individually, internally. I certainly know through my own redemption arc that I finding my way back to myself, John, right? I'll call it, right? You know, it's immense, right? What do you say to the people that say, oh, well, you picked that life, you know, you wanted to be involved with these guys and all that, you committed them acts, you make your bed, you lay in it. What do you say to them guys?
I say that what the Bible says, you know, don't judge others because others can judge onto you. You know, life's not perfect. None of us are perfect. Human beings aren't perfect. Nothing in this world is made perfect. And you do things and you make mistakes and you have another go at it. The thing is, when you have another go at it, do the right thing this time around. And those same people that are saying that to us, me, you, or anybody else, I guarantee you if they open up the windows and doors in the house, we could pick them apart too. You know, you got a lot of trolls that'll write stupid things about kids. And I said, oh, I thought you're doing this for kids. Well, you wouldn't be trolling if you were worried about kids, because then the kids will look at you as an example. So, you know, these are negative people. They're always going to be negative. They don't want to do anything positive. They're not trying to help anybody. I don't see any of them donate money to any of these organizations that I donate money to. I don't see them donating their time. I don't see them flying to Switzerland like I did to talk to a classroom of students that stabbed each other there a couple of years, 2 years ago. I did that one. That I don't see them flying to countries like I do in Albania or Italy and go speak to kids in groups there. I do on my own dime. So, you know, when people are saying that, I can't answer to all these guys, because if you do, you find yourself, you know, and I do this a lot, and it's a big mistake of mine answering to these people that are questioning me, what's real and what isn't. I shouldn't do that. And that's a little bit, I guess, sometimes anger and insecurity, where you find yourself trying to defend yourself. I shouldn't do it. I should just live my life. And I'm learning each day through some of the guys I mentioned not to do it anymore. Yourself, one of them, where I look up to you guys doing the right thing and behaving like gentlemen and not like children and with the negative nonsense. So, you know, listen, every day you can learn and every day you can school yourself. So that's what I'm doing.
John, I say people that are actively trying to change their life and improve other people's lives, no matter what their history, no matter what their failings may be, you know, we all get lost sometimes, you know. I mean, I certainly know that, right? You know, if you look at my story, people who, you know, they're going towards their own light and their own purpose, which is improving people's life and positive, and they have my vote. It's really as easy as that. I'm very clear on that. It is about change. It is about going towards change, and it is about being outward facing to help other people so they make change as well. John, thanks for a really in-depth interview. I've been very hard on this. It's very objective, very methodical. Thanks for all the stuff you sent the team, a lot of stuff there. Exclusive stuff, photographs, videos, you know, there's tape recordings and all that in there. I wish you very well on your journey and the, you know, and the positive, life-changing work you're involved in and what you're trying to do. Thanks very much for coming on.
Thank you, Steve. I just want to say my hand's out to Michael, Sammy, John, or anybody else that wants to change their life and move forward. So this ain't going to be a negative message if they try to turn it around on me. My hand's out to them. Change your lives, give a real message. Don't do this Machiavelli stuff, and I'll be a gentleman with you guys. And you don't want to talk to me, don't talk to me, but I'll never sit idle for the Machiavelli stuff. It's not going to happen with me. And I come directly, and I want to teach kids to have pride in themselves. And anybody that's looking for me, it's johnalite.com. So my website, and my Instagram is True John Alite, and my new book is Mafia International John Alite. But I really appreciate Steve taking time with me.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe, like, go into stephengillen.com and sign up for more wonderful content to expedite, help, and support you on your own personal journey of success.